Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbaloye. Well, let's tell you that a special investigator appointed by President Bola Tinubu, Mr. Osanyede Obaze, to probe the central bank under Mr. Godwin Emefiele and under the President Buhari, now has concluded his work. The former Chief Executive Officer of the Financial Reporting Council has been carrying on as a special investigator to probe the Central Bank of Nigeria for some weeks now, with the mandate to take immediate steps to ensure the strengthening and integrity of crucial government business entities and further block leakages in CBN and related CBEs. The President has thanked him for his effort and findings. And of course, we're looking forward to other findings, like the Hope Uzodinma-led committee findings on the oil and gas industry, especially on the oil theft in Nigeria. What we are hearing, the hemorrhaging of the oil sector, the connivance that we see, the fraudulent stealing of Nigeria's money by some people who are highly placed in the sector. We understand those that document or the report of the Hope Uzodinma committee might be far-reaching, and we are hoping with all of the CBN probe by Obaze and these findings by the Hope Uzodinma committee, we hope that things will be done and the President Tinubu under his administration will not leave any stone unturned in ensuring that those who are stealing Nigeria blind will not go unpunished. That's what we are hoping for. We'll be looking forward to that report. Tonight, our attention will be on the responses given today by the Minister of Power, Mr. Akeredolu. Today has been speaking, the reactions that have been trailing the increase in the electricity tariff. On one hand, some northern elders are condemning the action. Some lawmakers say it is a bad timing. How would you do that? Well, the government is saying it's only 1.5 million people that will be affected. The rest 10 million plus are not going to be affected. How does that play out? Don't forget the stories we heard about the removal of subsidy and how it will not affect all of this. The money's in the pocket. Inflation, will this affect inflation, the headline inflation, or what? Will be affecting all of these issues. Beyond all of that narrative and that question, on those questions, at the bottom line, there is still darkness in the country that is so blessed with abundant sunlight, a lot of water, and a lot of biomass items that we could use as alternative energy. Yet we are living in a country that we are still having this conversation about archaic means of electricity supply in the country. Tonight, we're looking for a solution, and we'll be talking to an expert tonight. And then I'll take you to Ondo to talk about the politics of the APC and see what is happening in that party. Stay with me, everyone. Let me check out some of your political roundup stories.
The Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, Gabriel Dewan, has sworn in 9 out of 16 All Progressives Congress lawmakers. The swearing-in took place in the early hours of today at the temporary chambers in Jos, the state capital. Shortly after the swearing-in ceremony, the newly sworn-in members proceeded to the government house, where they were received by Governor Caleb Mutfwang, who assured them of a robust synergy between the executive and the legislative arms of government. And the National Rescue Movement, NRM, today stormed the national headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in protest over the non-inclusion of the party and its candidate in the list of political parties and candidates published by the Commission last week. In a protest letter to the Commission, read by the National Publicity Secretary of the party, Mr. Olushola Afuye, called on INEC to include the name of its governorship candidate, Mr. Dennis Aikoriuge, in the list of those participating in the September 21 governorship election in Edo State. Responding to the protesters, a National Commissioner, Major General Modibo Alkali, thanks them for conducting themselves in a peaceful manner. He then promised them that the Commission will investigate and make its findings open to the public. A Ahead of the upcoming National Executive Council meeting of the People's Democratic Party next week, some members within the party are urging the leadership to adhere to the provisions of the party's constitution and allow someone from the same zone where the suspended national chairman, Mr. Iyorchia Ayu, comes from, to be the next national chairman of the party. Leaders within the concerned PDP, led by a former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Professor Nicholas Ada, at a meeting in Makurdi, urged the party to consider appointing former Governor Gabriel Suswam from the same state as Mr. Ayu to serve out the remainder of his tenure. The Ogun State chapter of the People's Democratic Party has asked new members of the party to make themselves available at different wards to regularize their membership and become bona fide members of the larger family in the state. The chairman of the party in the state, Mr. Sikarulai Ogundele, made the call in Abeokuta, the state capital, during a meeting with the party's officials and faithfuls across the 20 local government areas of the state.
Thank you so much, everyone. Let's get talking to those who may be upset right now because they probably are paying more on electricity in their homes with the increase in price of petrol, price of food that we have seen in the past month. Now, this one is coming. Increase in electricity tariff. But they say it's only for grade A or band A customers. If you are a band A customer, adjust your seat. Let's get talking. If you are not a band A customer, maybe sit on the edge of your seat because it might come to you very soon. Let's look at the solutions tonight. That's what we are all about tonight. But the federal government says the new electricity tariff and the Akeredolu will only affect a small segment of the consumers, and that's just about 1.5 million. The recent hike in the electricity tariff for band A customers, people who enjoy at least 20 hours per day, triggered a lot of conversation among Nigerians, many of whom claim the country is still grappling with the effects of the removal of fuel subsidy and the ballooning inflation that we've seen over the past consecutive calculations by the MBS. But the Minister of Power, Mr. Adebayo Adelabu, hinted about the federal government's push to stop electricity subsidy, says that the hike won't affect the majority of Nigerians. There was a ministerial briefing headed by the Minister of Information, which featured the Minister of Power, and we also saw the Executive Vice Chairman of NERC. Let me allow you to listen to some of those things that the Minister of Power said today. Take a listen to Mr. Adelabu.
Mr. President has resolved to use the power sector to drive the delivery of his laudable objectives of sustainable economic growth and industrial development under the renewed hope agenda. We are all aware of the current hardships that citizens are passing through based on some tough decisions, but necessary decisions that government has taken in the recent past about removal of fuel subsidy, about harmonization of the dual exchange rates. We know that this has led to a lot of things. The inflation rate is there. The devaluation of the naira is there. And the increase in prices of goods and services. These are enough hardships that government is not ready to aggravate at any rate. We are all aware of this. So government will not deliberately come up with a policy to worsen an already bad situation that we are struggling to come out of, which I believe they are necessary pains if you are targeting some gains in this sector.
All right. That's Mr. Adelabu there earlier today. Of course, just this early in the week, I showed you how many blackouts that we have nationwide, shutdown of our electricity installations due to collapse of the power grid. Perhaps a producer can put that back on to let you know how things go in the country in terms of electricity supply in the country. And I was having that conversation with my guest on the program on that day. One thing that has happened one too many times in this country, and we'll be asking the question, do we even have a business having this kind of power grid collapse in 2017 and 2023, 46 times, 2022, 8 times, 2023, 3 times. Under President Buhari alone, 98 times in 8 years. So the reports came that in the last few weeks, this has happened. And so how do we stop this? Let's get talking about this. A former presidential candidate of the YPP is an expert in alternative energies, and he's the founder of Big Energy, Mr. Malik Ado Ibrahim. Prince Malik Ado Ibrahim joins us live on the program. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you again.
Yeah, sorry that I bother you when it comes to these kind of issues, but I won't let you rest until we find solutions to our power problems in this country. When you heard about a hike in the electricity tariff, don't forget that what we are hearing and what the federal government tells us is that there is a huge subsidy on electricity supply in the country. And I don't know how much of that subsidy the federal government is paying for if we have mostly darkness in the country. But that aside, they say there is a subsidy on electricity, but now increase in the tariff. What comes to your mind? What came to your mind when you heard that?
Well, first of all, this criticism is coming, as it should, from a former presidential candidate of the Young Progressives Party. So I'm coming as opposition. I'm not coming to paint them black or white, but it is my job to keep their feet to fire.
Yeah. And perhaps talk as an expert that you are in that sector too.
Absolutely, and it was part of the fundamentals of our manifesto when we started. You must fix power to keep the people and the country powerful. Well, this is, it just begs to believe that we are sitting in 2024, we haven't been told about this subsidy, and all of a sudden, there's a subsidy. Okay, you remove the subsidy, which is plausible. I can applaud them for saying you're going to remove that subsidy, you're going to have a price hike. Yes, that's something I can applaud the government for, but removing it for what reason? We still only produce 4,000 megawatts. Quantity hasn't changed, the quality hasn't changed. You're going after a particular band, I think it's the band A or the zone A, which you've increased by 300%. And the focus on that is supposed to go to industry. Okay, so you increase the price on industry with the same power they were getting at 300%. They'll pay. But at the end of the day, the consumer that's in that band Z at the bottom of there is still going to have to pay that 300% hike in the cost of the goods, and that's where the inflation is going to appear. So where the government is thinking that you are taking revenue or you're generating revenue, you're going to cause hyperinflation to happen because those increases in the value of that power is going to be pushed down to the man in the street that you are expecting not to pay for that power. So fundamentally, we get policy wrong in the country. We're working as if we're a small country when we're a mighty nation of 230-odd million people with 4,000 megawatts. And the solution is clear, it's there, but we're trying to put lipstick on a pig and make it look like it's a damsel in distress. It's still a pig. The system is broken. We need to fix it by adding an energy mix. And I'm here to proffer solutions. I don't want to come here and lambaste our minister, who I think is just, out of his depth. He does not understand the fundamentals of the power sector. And we need to change that by a differing energy mix. And it's a fundamental part of the breakdown, and it's where we need to really make change. And the change is a very simple one. If you look at what's happening, Yola in the northeast, which is an impoverished area, is paying more than Lagos in the southwest. How is that possible? You were paying 179 naira, and now it's gone up to 250 odd naira to an area where there is no economical value for that money. It should be less. And the only way you can do that is to understand that the power is in the south and it's been wheeled to the northeast, and they're paying a premium to move that power from the south to the northeast. We're putting the pieces on the table and just moving it around, and Nigerians are going to suffer.
So the system doesn't work.
It can't
right now.
It's impossible.
So let's do the pieces and put it right. It's a jigsaw right now.
Absolutely.
Let's see how we can put them right. In trying to lay the issues on the table, you've identified tonight you do not believe in Mr. Adelabu. I mean, if you were president, maybe you will not appoint him. But the president saw something in him. He thinks that he can fix power. A former deputy governor of the central bank. Maybe he thinks, oh, this man has a magic wand. You said he doesn't have that depth to be able to do the job. Yeah. But he's showing to Nigerians that he can. Maybe we should give him a chance to do it. But then, let's look at the indices on the table, Mr. Ibrahim. First and foremost is the fact that give us a sense of these principle of policy that let the rich pay for the poor. That is what our policy and the increase look like. Does that make sense? Is that what is standard practice in other clients?
This is not Sherwood Forest. It's not Robin Hood. You cannot take from the rich to give to the poor. We're all poor in this nation. If you keep taxing those that are producing, that is going to trickle down to those that are consuming. It's a punitive measure that will affect every single person in this country. So it does not work.
So asking those who can pay more to pay more doesn't make sense.
No, because I have to get my money back.
Taxing the rich more.
Absolutely. But no, it's not taxing the rich. You're burdening the producers. Because that tariff vein is that 20 hours. Who gets 20 hours? Who gets 20 hours? I mean, that's a fallacy in itself. 20 hours? 24 hours a day? It's never happened. You can't give me a year, a month, a week where you have 20 hours in this country anywhere. So we are augmenting power. So it does not work. Fundamentally, that is just a story. There are other words to use, but it's rubbish. It doesn't work. So what are the problems? I'm not here to figure out what his issue is. I'm here as a solution provider. And the jigsaw puzzle is very simple. You've got 6 geopolitical zones. Each one of these geopolitical zones in this country has an incredible, naturally given power-generating, the prospects of power in each of those zones is enormous. Let's look at the Northeast. Incredible sun. Focus on solar. Northwest, solar and wind corridor. The middle belt of this country, the North Central, incredible hydro. South, gas, biofuels, it's all there. Now, we need to put that into an energy mix that comes to the country, not relying on 4,000. We need to do something that makes those naturally given energy providers a way to contribute to the power of this country. It'll increase jobs. It'll make inflation disappear to levels that are like 31% inflation. That means in 4 years, we will devalue our currency by 100%. This is an emergency structure that we must think of right now, and we're looking at it differently.
Yeah, Prince Malik, there are those who will say at this point that we in fact do not have a generation problem. In fact, we're generating and we cannot even use as much as what we generate.
Absolutely.
There is a gap between generation, distribution and transmission. Okay. We can't even, the consumers cannot get as much as what we generate.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not at the moment, it's not a problem of generation. Mm-hmm. It's a much of the problem, the technologies and the means at which we can get the power that are being generated, that are being in the pot out to the people.
Okay, so we understand we have 24,000 megawatts installed capacity. We generate 12,000. We distribute 4,000. What a waste. The discos can reject power because they cannot push it around on the grid. There are solutions. We can store power using energy storage systems. Every single substation in this country should have storage units, which are lithium-based, which Nigeria is rich in, storage units at each one of these. So when you reject power, that 12,000 can be stored. When the grid goes down, that generated power, like a power bank, you release it onto the grid. Look, this is technology that's available today. I'm doing it in other places. We're talking to government here. Nobody wants to listen. The fundamentals are there. We are not adding the innovation of today to make this thing work. We should be at 24,000 megawatts, not a problem. Within 18 months, we can be at 12,000. Distributed 12,000 megawatts. Then you can add all these prices. But right now, you're giving me... here's another crazy part. The discos, who owns them? The federal government owns 40% of these discos, and we blame the discos. The government owns them. Gencos, government owns 40%, and we blame them. They own them. Distribution is all government. Why are we playing this game?
But there is a new law that has been passed, which is supposed to unbundle. We've been unbundling, and that's where the Gencos, the Discos, and all what have you came from. Well, the unbundling has come to the point that it has decentralized some sections of the power. There's still one that is residual with and resident with the powers resident with the federal government. But there is one there is other parts that the state government and other parts of stakeholders can also use. So when we think that power, that legal instrument will help Nigerians to be able to get more power, but it doesn't look like it's working yet.
The states need to invest. The states don't have money. The states don't generate income. The states wait for FAC, get the money, and then they spend it. Which state, apart from Lagos, generates its own income? There's none. You all wait for that. If you put power, if I'm looking at this from a governor, as a governor, I want to take that money, create an industrial park, put power, invite industry, generate income for my state so that I don't even rely just on the federal handout. We're in a handout, we're palliatives for the state governor. That's what we do. Nobody is sitting there fundamentally looking at the inflationary issues of what is the fundamental problem of this country, and it is power. Look, there are three columns here. Inflation, devaluation, and income generation. And on all three, we fail. We must fix those three pillars, because the inflation is out of hand. And you're not telling me, or you telling me at the end of the day, be patient, and your policies do not give me confidence. We need to change the policy, or if you can't change the policy, change the individual. Get people who understand how to fix power in this country. Look, I love this country. This is where I was born, this is where I'm going to die. At the end of the day, we should add our innovation, our brain power to this government. If you take it in the wrong way, then shame on you as far as I'm concerned. We need to be able to at least give policies that allow the government to say, okay, states, generate your own power, but you don't have the money to go out and you can look for investment from third-party investors to come into your state. The enabling environment has been set, but the states cannot afford it. And guess what? These discos that we're talking about, the infrastructure are owned by the states. You look at a state budget, you see transformers. They'll pay for it, and then AEDC or whatever will come and charge you. There is no overview. NERC is overstretched. There is no policy overview or tariff overview commission that's there. There's a lot to be done, but we're still only dealing with 4,000 megawatts. 4,000.
So, and I'll put you right on the spot. I do that every time when I want solutions. And for us, I mean, I'm imagining that this is almost an impossible task to fix power. And we've had how many transitions from 1999? There are those who blame the former government to say they spent $20 billion and there is no power. There are those, and we've been spending government after government on monies that were spent on fixing power. 1999 up until now, those who were born probably had gone to university and come back and graduated, yet were not able to fix the power. We're still talking about 4,000, 5,000 megawatts. South Africa, Egypt are doing better in terms of consumption and the kind of production and power in the power sector. Let me put you right on the spot. If you were President Tinubu today, what would you do differently from what we see today? Because I imagine that, do we really even have those who have the brain power or the knowledge of fixing our energy problem in this country?
Well, from what I know and the expertise and what I've done, I can only say that there's a fundamental way to fix it. And it's a gradual way. You must build a stable foundation for power to be able to grow. So I would go to storage immediately. I would make it my Marshall Plan to put in, as I said, in every substation, I would put storage. And it would require me doing an audit to see where is industry, where does industry need power? And I'll fundamentally agree with, if it's 100, 400, put storage there, because we're producing enough power to store. Then you can charge a tariff that's high, but I know I'm getting 100% of that power that I'm required to have so I can be competitive. If we're not competitive, we cannot export goods. If we cannot export goods, inflationary issues will come to bear. Now, the grid needs to be fixed. We have one spinal grid. If you take that grid off, the country's in darkness. We see it. We've seen it 98 times.
Everywhere. Yeah,
exactly. Most countries have multiple grids.
The minister was saying that they have a means of a backup when the grid falls out. Or it takes an an average of several hours to get the grid back on.
Well,
and so the nation is in darkness at one time. And so there's those who will say it's a security issue also when the nation is thrown to darkness at once.
You're actually giving your enemies some vision as to what Nigeria is. We're lucky that we're all IPPs, we're all independent power producers. But if I'm having to diesel my home and with noise pollution and all that stuff, because you're going to wait 9 hours to back me up, what am I paying taxes for? Why am I paying such a high tariff? Why would I pay 259 naira per kilowatt hour when I could just go buy batteries, put in my house, put storage, use the gen when I want to use it, and go off the grid? I'm off the grid. Most of my clients.
For how many years now?
4 years. Most of the industries, look, this is not.
What have you done that can, as evidence, as a testimony, to show that it is possible here in Nigeria?
You know, I keep using Adamawa as my example, but even with the grid prices, it's even now fundamentally clear to me that we have got it wrong. If my client, Admirala Farms, put together their power using the grid, they could have gone from 179 naira to 259 naira in the Northeast. If he was in Lagos, he'd be paying 79 naira for that same power. He's creating jobs. Now, what's his competitive advantage? He is sitting there producing power from the sun at about 70 naira per kilowatt hour, constantly, every day.
For how many years now?
200, since 2018. Now, you cannot, as I said, no government official has gone to see what the future looks like. There is storage there. We're storing sun power. We're not storing grid power. Now, if you were storing grid power and releasing it in a very professional, smart grid fashion, you would be able to move that 12,000 megawatts to different parts of the nation. I would create industrial parks where industry would go and settle so it can relieve the grid. And then the Nigerian population would have more power to do it.
So this is an industrial hub in Adamawa, like you said.
It's an EPZ in Adamawa. And now companies from Lagos are moving to this place because he's got power to spare. Look, the northeast of this country can generate enough power to just make it look like Dubai.
The sun in Maiduguri, Kano, that's scorching enough to generate enough power, like you have said.
2,700 per square meter. Lagos is about 1,700. England's at about 1,100. We're double what England is doing in the northeast. And you know what? That power is sitting scorching earth when it can be generating power. And the issue I'm saying is
away.
The energy mix has to come into bear. The government needs to decide that it wants to create power for its people. And then look at the middle belt, hydro, northeast, wind and solar. Northeast, solar. Northwest, wind and solar. South, focus on the infrastructure. Look, I would also do one more thing. You asked me a question about if I was president. Why would I subsidize the consumer? I would want to subsidize the investor that is going to come in and put in a pipeline so that the consumer gets it at a lower price. I would subsidize the infrastructure, not to give handouts or palliatives to people, because you have to remove that palliative at some point. Marie Antoinette said, if you cannot give your people bread, give them cake. And if you can't give them cake, you have a revolution coming. We don't pray for a revolution. We pray that the government have insight and say, okay, I understand what these guys are doing. Come to the table. Let's see how we fix this situation.
I mean, do people in power realize that they're generating power and taking it out of the country?
We're selling, well, it's foreign exchange generation. So but we blocked Niger. But at the end of the day, look, the policy is broken. And we're now adding another insult to injury.
I'm saying this. The reason why I'm saying this, and I'm trying to get a word out of your mouth to let Nigerians also know what is possible and the fact that this is not an impossibility, that there are private interests who are generating from the sun coming down on the Nigerian soil, and that same power generated here in Nigeria is being sold to other country. Can you expatiate on that?
Well, the grid was built when the supply into Niger and Cameroon was when we had the same power many years ago. So that was built and it's still used. And now we know there's a subsidy. So for me, it's just farcical to see that we had a subsidy when we didn't have enough power. And we're selling that power to countries to generate income. Doesn't make sense. 230 million people here need that power. And the only way you're going to do it is to take your agbada off, sit down and decide you are going to focus on generating power, embedding power. The grid is down. It's 4,000. Siemens is coming to augment that to 10,000. It's still not going to do much.
You said that Siemens technology is almost outdated.
We're not using... Siemens has gone to renewables, and we're taking their old technology to augment our system. Okay, the grid needs implementation, but forget that. Embed power into the states, into the areas where you need, using renewable. Nigeria is full of renewable methods. Use them, and then use that to reduce the... it's a supply and demand issue.
The dependence on the grid.
The grid is not going to save Nigeria. Innovation, forward thinking, implementation of global best practices will change the way Nigeria is, and it'll industrialize us, reduce inflation, and that push for energy that we take from refineries and from gas and all that. We need to sell that, and rather we should use it for the income generated for the country and not the product itself. We need to get off that high of energy that way.
Prince Malik Ado Ibrahim is the founder of Big Energy. He has expertise in a few things, but part of it is this issue of energy, and that is what he's been discussing with us tonight on the program. Thank you so much, most sincerely, for your time tonight.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. I hope that we get it right. We'll take a break, everyone, and when we return, it's going to be the jostle for the APC ticket, and there are big wigs. A sitting governor and other very familiar faces in the race for the governorship of Ondo State. Chief Olushalauke is a senior advocate of Nigeria and an aspirant under the platform of the APC, will be joining us next on the program. Got us again, everyone. So much, everyone. Let me take you to the politics of Ondo State. Well, the forms are out. People are collecting. Some are submitting. And it's the jostle for the primary or the ticket of the APC as the governorship election is drawing closer by the day. One of the front runner for the ticket of the APC, the senior advocate of Nigeria, is not a first-timer for those who know very well the politics of that state and the governorship tussle over the years. Chief Olushalauke, he joins us live here in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you, Shion, for...
And congratulations, I heard you had a terrible accident, but here you are.
It was very bad. In August 25th, I was brought down in a crash, and it was very bad. But I thank God I'm back on my feet.
Thank God for life. Thank God.
Yeah, thank you.
And here you are. You want to be governor again. This is not your first time.
Not at all.
But you want to be governor again.
I want to be governor of Ondo
So
State.
today you went and submitted your form.
Yes, I did.
How did that go?
It went very well. I want to be governor of Ondo State. I've hazarded this 3 times, and this is my 4th attempt. Twice as a candidate, once as an aspirant, and this is the 4th time. And I think I'm drawing inspiration from President Buhari, who did it 3 times and didn't succeed, and succeeded on the 4th time. So I'm very hopeful that on this occasion, it's my time to shine.
You might be 4th time lucky.
Yes, I think Buhari has laid the precedent, and it's one that is very inspiring. So, as I'm not discouraged. I didn't want to go outside the shores of Nigeria to look at others who have done more times than 4. But I think our president gave us the hope that if you try once, try 2nd time, thrice, you can be lucky the 4th time. And I think I'm going to be lucky.
So let's look at it. I imagine, and I always remember the principle of chance of first refusal, which is a tradition in politics globally, that whoever is in office, you give the person a benefit of the doubt, whether wants to run or not, and it's global standard in Western politics. That I'm referring to Mr. Lucky Aiyedatiwa, who is the incumbent governor, who took over from the late Rotimi Akeredolu, may God rest his soul. And want you imagine that, will it be right to give him a chance of first refusal? Now, he's not refusing, actually. He said he's running. Do you think you could see that opportunity to him?
Well, we operate constitutional democracy. Is legitimately entitled to want to run. And I also think under the Constitution, I'm entitled to run. I'm not running because it came out. This is my 4th time I mentioned. So it's not news that he will be running, and it's not news that I'm running. I concede to him the right to run. I'm not aware of the right of first refusal in our Constitution. either of the party or of Nigeria. It's a competitive democracy where every Nigerian who thinks he has something to offer to his people is given an opportunity to run. I, older in age, older in experience, older in this contest, I think if we're talking of right of first refusal, I think it should be given to me. Because I have done this before, second time, third time, it's the fourth time. So he coming for the first time. I don't want to refer to the circumstance of his emergence as governor of Ondo State, is governor. Or you recall that most of the governors that are given such rights are governors who stood election. One election, having done 4 years, they are given another opportunity. So his situation is slightly different. But like I said, it's a contest.
As it is, the case is right now, you sound like you're thinking that is some level of rights that you have above the others.
Yeah, because Ondo State is going through transition, a critical period of transition. And you need a man with experience, with idea, that has deep knowledge of the state to be able to go through that transition. I've spent all my life in that state. I've served them in diverse and different capacities. One time a member of National Assembly. I've been chairman of Osopadek. I've been pioneering member of board of NDDC. I've been national legal advisor. I draw my experience. I've been board. I've been chairman of several boards of federal government. I've been chairman of boards in the state. I've occupied many political positions, technical positions, as a member of the board, the Technical Committee on Niger Delta, as the director of Southwest of the presidential campaign of President Buhari, and as a member of the Presidential Campaign Council of President Tinubu. I've acquired experience over the year, and such experiences are required to pilot Ondo State at this time. My living with them and knowledge, I've been part of their sovereign, I've been part of their denial, I've been part of their lack. And so those experiences propel a consideration for wanting to be.
But have you been loyal all along with the party?
Thank you very much. I've been very loyal.
To an extent.
Very, very loyal.
At what and do you?
Let's draw inspiration from the last experiment. I was the first runner-up with Governor Akeredolu in the last election. And as soon as the primary was over, I went all out with my resources, with my experience, with my people. I'm mobilized. That's why it's on record. The second-term governor scoring the highest votes in Ondo State. Because I put my resources behind him. So I've been loyal. Having served as director of the Southwest, having been a member of the Presidential Committee, I've been a member of the various legal teams to defend the mandate of our president. I'm loyal to the party.
So you said in a fora that it's your turn. It's an Emilokan kind of principle that you're bringing to bear right now. That is what you think, that it's your turn to become the governor of Ondo State.
Yeah, it's not just a statement in abstract. It's a statement that given what is prevailing at the moment, the people that are involved, my familiarity with the people, the agitation of the people, and three of us coming on the stream simultaneously, Mimiko from the central, Aketi from the north, IBM from the south. I believe very strongly, and having hazarded these 3 different occasions, it is a determination that should be compensated, that should be rewarded with a good outcome this time around. That Emilokan thing is not a sense of entitlement. It's a statement based on prevailing circumstances that amongst everybody, I am the closest to the people. My aspiration is born out of the agitation of the people. Therefore, I say that it is my turn to be the governor of Ondo.
So it's a statement of entitlement. But you say you don't have a sense of entitlement.
It's not a sense of entitlement.
But it's a statement of entitlement.
Because it is premised on realities. It's premised on prevailing factors. I've said earlier that of all the contestants, I've been the closest to the people. I've occupied positions where I put infrastructure. I put facility on ground which can be seen. It's not a question of how we do. It's a question I've done so many things that the people like, and they want me to rule them, to be governor of the state.
Now, the question will be that those who think, yes, with what is happening, there are those whom you are, the Rotimi Akeredolu factor is there. He has said a few times that I will decrease so that Lucky can increase. There is a tendency right from time that he wanted Lucky, the governor, to succeed him. There are those who will say, oh, as it is right now, why don't you allow Lucky to serve out? Because I'm not sure he can serve 2 times. I mean, if he runs and he wins in 2024, he can only spend 4 years. And those who think that for the sake of peace and tranquility within the party, why don't you just allow Lucky to be the candidate of the party? Can you concede on that basis?
Thank you very much. I refrained a lot from talking about Lucky. I've said he's entitled constitutionally to have a bite. Also consider the interests of the South Central District that were unlucky during Governor Olusegun Agagu. They couldn't run their 8 years. Again, another opportunity is coming to the South. You also know that the people will be very wary for anyone to reduce their years from 8 to 5. Not even 8 now. Maybe by accident, by providence, they're going to have 9 years, plus the one gained from the North. We must give it to some people in the South that they won't like the idea of their 9 years being reduced to 5.
Well, I mean, should zoning be a paramount or a primary determinant of who become or who leads a state or a people?
Well, thank you very much. In the past, there was no zoning in Ondo State. Otherwise, I would have been contesting. But it appears by evolution of time, zoning has come to emerge and it has come to stay. Governor Mimiko took 8 years in the center. I contested against him in second term. And if we were reviewed, I let them have their 8 years. I argued this in manner that we should go for the best and not zoning, that zoning may not produce the best. The people insisted. He went to the North, they said, oh, let Akeredolu have 8 years. Unfortunately, he had only 7 years. Of course, people will still argue that prior to Akeredolu, Governor Adefrati has taken 4 years in the North, that making it 11. So, fairness, because the constitution is also very clear about rotation. It says that no area should be allowed to dominate the other. And that in the sharing of public offices, regard must be had to equity, justice, and fairness. So, in as much as the totality of the argument is not predicated on zoning alone, predicated on the merits, it's also fair and just that the South be allowed, especially when the South couldn't have 8 years under Governor Agagu. It is fair and just. And you cannot argue that you cannot get the best material from the South. If you look at the array of people that are contesting at the moment, these are the finest gentlemen and women.
You have your very good friend, a lawyer too, Senator Jimoh Ibrahim. Are you weary of the kind of personality or the kind of challenge or competition Jimoh Ibrahim will pose to your candidacy?
Well, Jimoh is my very good young brother. He's a versatile individual, backed with a very deep pocket. But I'm not scared at all.
Even with the deep pocket?
You see, there are many factors that will determine who we emerge. It goes beyond the depth of the pocket. I have my highest regard for him, but certainly I think when it comes to the world of politics, I'm his leader. I'm his header. And though he cannot scare me at all.
There are reports that channels also had covered about Jimoh Ibrahim's structure that he has built on the ground. And there are those who believe that if there is a direct primaries that will be conducted, with the way Jimoh Ibrahim had gone, preparing the ground for himself, he might be able to pose a big challenge. Are you worried about that kind of tactics too?
These temporary structures may not be very sustainable. I have been the one, because of my experience, this is the 4th time, I've built, surviving, tested structure over the years. So whoever is building a structure, most of them are pushing from my supporters, is not sustainable at all. I have the strongest, the most resistant structure in Ondo State today. Go to any home, maybe because of the shortness of my name, just 3 letters, okay, people pronounce it. So nobody has resilient structure as I do in Ondo State. Not Jimo, not the incumbent governor. I have the most formidable structure. In terms of spread, in terms of strength, in terms of endurance.
And there are those who believe that the Rotimi Akeredolu structure has been taken over by some elements in the party too.
The structure is polarized. Everybody, every aspirant, at least the frontline aspirants, benefit from the polarization, including myself. So it can only mean that that structure alone will not determine the success or the failure of an aspirant. Everybody has benefited from it. It's unfortunate that he died. Of course, we might not be going through all of this if he were alive, because he will be in charge. The center will be holding. As it is now, the center is no longer holding. Nobody can claim to be leader of the party or authority over the party, as Akeredolu would have claimed if he were alive.
The primary is just a few days away. And what would be your biggest fear in respect of the conduct of that primary, considering what the party did in Edo State?
Well, I think our democracy is evolving. It was worse than what happened in Edo in the past. Gradually, it's getting better. After all, the errors in Edo were, over time, they were able to correct it. It shows that the party is determined, is focused on on deepening democracy within the party. Well, major fear of every aspirant is, would there be level ground for contest? Would there be fairness? Would there be justice? The leadership of the party has assured us, particularly Mr. President, that there will be no imposition.
Did you people meet Mr. President?
Oh, he has said that over the year, and he has demonstrated his action. The direct primary was never a mode of election in Ondo State.
Well, I mean,
it was Mr. President who insisted that everybody should be given an opportunity, let the party members decide who their candidate will be. So that reduces our fear. Once there's a level ground, whosoever emerges, if I emerge, everybody will embrace. And if somebody else emerges, we all embrace. We are one, we are a family. We are members of the same political party and want to remain in power.
In the absence of former Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, there are those who believe that it looks like whoever President Tinubu signs to become the flag bearer of the party might have it. Do you have a sense that because you worked for him as a lawyer on his team, that might sway the president to your side? Are you talking to the president?
First and foremost, let me say that our president is a Democrat. 2, he talks between winning election. He talks beyond winning election. He's of the view that apart from winning election, a political party must bring a candidate that will deliver dividends of democracy. And so the criteria for his desire are not born out of merely winning election. Nigeria is going through a tough and rough time. Policies have been initiated by Mr. President to bring around our economy. He needs a governor at that level who will be able to complement his efforts. In Ondo State, where the mainstay of our economy has been abandoned, that's agriculture. The president needs a governor that will be able to go to the past and revive our agricultural sector by exposing the farmland to good roads, by bringing about settlements in the farmland and providing security. For instance, my view is that if I become governor, and by the grace of God, I'm going to build a barrack for the Amatekons. So to protect our people.
Those who say Rotimi Akeredolu did a good job.
Oh, he did a good job because he provided resistance. But these Amatekons live in town. They are not permanent in the night. They move to town. I will elongate his achievement by ensuring that we build barracks for them.
The area where you come from, Mr. Oke, they say charity begins at home. Some communities in your area are in very dire need for help of government. Some communities within the water side, and some of them no potable water, no linkage roads in those communities. And those who are listening to you tonight will be wondering, does Oke have any plan or any thinking about this kind of people?
Thank you, Shem. You're right. Our communities, I'm from the coastal area. I stand in my father's home, I'm looking at the Atlantic. Our communities have been daily washed away. Ayetoro, which used to be the biggest, the most populous community in the area, is almost 70% gone into the Atlantic. So I'm very, very worried. But my antecedent in the community will demonstrate to them that anytime I have opportunity, I am for the people and the people are for me. If you go to the entire riverine area now, beginning from our boundary with Ogun State to our boundary with Delta, any viable project you see on ground were put in place by me when I was in the Sopadec and when I was in NDDC. The people believe, in fact, I'm their hope. The major agitation for contesting this is coming from the people in the riverine area.
But, I mean, you didn't quite answer my question about whether the president whether you have the trust of the president to back in you.
The trust I have in the president is that he will allow a level ground.
Has he even given you audience to speak with him?
Yes, I did. I met with the president during the dinner. I spoke with him. I met him from time to time. I'm not a new president, Mr. President. We have had opportunity to work together. I've been around him.
Speaking with him is one thing. Whether or not he wants you to be the candidate of the party is another thing. Do you have a positive conversation?
All the president has assured is that he will not impose. He will allow level ground for everybody, and that the people, and that's why he has directed direct primary, that members of the party who are familiar with us, who live with us in the environment, should produce a candidate.
All right.
And so I have my satisfaction is that Mr. President is not going to impose.
Because we are hearing now that the president is with someone else other than yourself. Are you disappointed in that?
People, that's rumor. Mr. President is a Democrat. He will not be with anybody.
If he's
will be with the people.
And you think he's not with you, I mean, if they say he's not with you, isn't that a letdown for you?
If the president's going to be with anyone, it will be me. Because the criteria for taking a decision about who will be the candidates are more in my favor than anyone.
I have 30 seconds to wrap up this conversation, Chief Oke. And it's going to be, you say that it's your turn. Emiloko coming up again. The fact remains that in 30 seconds, why do you think you are best out of all the lot? There is Major Aking, the name skipped me now. And there is Jimo Ibrahim, there is Lucky Ayedatua. In 30 seconds, can you tell us why Chief Oke thinks he's the best for the APC?
Thank you very much. I'm happy. They are good contenders, good materials. All these people, names you mentioned and others, they are very good. Any of them can be governor. But I think I'm better than any of them because none of this has lived with the people. I've lived all my life with them. Attended a very rural school, a primary school, a very rural secondary school. There was no university in Ondo when I went to Ife to school. And I've come back since then. I've been practicing law there. I've been practicing politics with them. I've occupied positions where I've enhanced the environment and enhanced the life of the people. I have worked with them with dignity, with integrity. And so the people can trust me. I'm not saying they won't trust others, but it's a question of preference.
Right.
And the voices I hear out there shows that the people prefer me to anybody.
Chief Olushola Oke is a senior advocate of Nigeria and one of the frontline aspirants in the APC jostling for the party's ticket. In just a few days, we will see who gets the ticket. Thank you so much indeed, Chief Oke. And I wish you the very best. Should you win the ticket, please come back. Let's have conversation about the race. Thank you so much
for having me here, and I thank our listeners.
Thank you so much. Well, just before we go, the stories that we're following for you, we now know that the EFCC has filed a fresh 26-count charge bordering on abuse of office and corruption against the former governor of the central bank, Mr. Godwin Emefiele. Mr. Emefiele will be arraigned before Justice Rahman Oshodi of the Lagos High Court, Ikeja, on Monday, April the 8th, on counts bordering on accepting gratification, accepting gifts through agents, corruption, receipt of property fraudulently, obtained and conferring corrupt advantage of his associates contrary to the Corrupt Practices Act of 2000. Our correspondent, Chola Shirley, as well as obtained the charge sheet, has been reporting these, and we'll give you details of that on the top of the hour. Story coming in, EFCC has filed a fresh 26-count charge against Godwin Emefiele, and he will be appearing before the court on this Friday, 8th of April. But that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Wakimade. I'll see you on Sunday, 8 p.m. Like I always say, my Sunday package for you is always special. Don't miss it. Bye, everyone.